Controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christys tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GBNews, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Cur weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, everybody. All right, how are you, mate? Hello, mate. How are you? Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. All right, here we go. Well, it is 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Hello, and welcome to my live studio audience. Tonight, though, the Middle East on the brink after Israel launched this attack on Iran.
ساعت الان 3:37 دقیقه ورودی فرحزاده پایین یه ساختمان مسکونی زده شده.
Iran immediately pledged their revenge.
که رژیم صهیونیستی اشتباه بزرگی کرد.
The Zionist regime made a grave mistake. It acted wrongly, and by God's will, the consequences will bring it to ruin.
Well, tonight, Iran hit back, launching hundreds of missiles at Israel. Explosions rocked Tel Aviv, and if you just look behind me now, that is live footage of the Tel Aviv skyline, where earlier this evening, just around there, a couple of missiles, or at least fragments of missiles, did hit. Pretty much everyone that you see living there will be underground at the moment in the bunkers, and we're going to take you to a bunker live shortly. But in other news...
And when you see that the majority of the people in these boats are children, babies and women who have been...
No, they're not.
So, Labour Minister Darren Jones thinks that most of these small boat illegals are just poor women, children and babies. Shall we have a look? They're men, mate. They're men. And 1,000 arrived today alone. It's shocking, that, isn't it? 1,000 today. In other news... Deport. Another Pakistani rape gang is convicted today and...
return stability to the economy, and that's why today I can announce that this winter 9 million pensioners will now receive the winter fuel payment.
Is Labour the most dishonest government ever? And... Hello. Can I just ask you how you've ended up here? What's the situation? Hello. How do you feel about more homeless camps popping up? On my panel this evening, we have got absolute fan favourite, it's GB News presenter Miriam Cates. Everybody, yes? We've got former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. We've got broadcasting royalty Christo Fufas. And the reason why most of the women are here is Adam Brooks. All of that and much more. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Well, get ready for World War III. Next.
Good evening. It's just after 9 o'clock. We'll be keeping you up to date on everything happening in Israel. But for now, here are some of the other stories making the headlines. The sole survivor of the Air India crash has spoken from his hospital bed, saying watching people dying in front of his eyes. The British national Viswash Kumar Ramesh says the plane felt like it was struck in the air before crashing into a medical college in Ahmedabad, killing 241 people. Tributes are pouring in as investigators search for answers. One black box has already been recovered as UK and US teams are joining the inquiry. 7 men who sexually exploited 2 13-year-old girls in Rochdale have been convicted at Manchester Crown Court. The court were told the men groomed their victims as sex slaves, exploiting their vulnerabilities through a campaign of manipulation which occurred between 2001 and 2006. The 7 men now await sentencing for their crimes. There was a 4th night of unrest in Northern Ireland as bricks and beer kegs were thrown at police in Portadown. The violence follows a peaceful protest in Ballymena on Monday over an alleged sexual assault, but police say it was hijacked by racist thugs. 41 officers have been injured while families had to hide in attics, and a leisure centre used as a shelter was torched. More than 15 arrests have been made so far. The Chancellor is refusing to rule out further tax rises this autumn, despite insisting her plans already paid for. But with the economy shrinking more than expected in April and new commitments like the winter fuel payments, economists say more tax hikes may be on the way. Meanwhile, a senior Labour MP says southern taxpayers should help fund better services in the north. Jonathan Hinder claims council tax is completely unfair, arguing people in cheaper northern homes are often paying more than those in million-pound properties down south. It comes as the Institute for Fiscal Studies warns council tax could rise 5% a year for the next 3 years, making it the fastest hike in 2 decades. Patients in England are the first in the world to receive the new Trojan horse therapy that targets blood cancer with pinpoint precision. It works by smuggling toxic chemotherapy directly into myeloma cells, sparing healthy ones and cutting side effects. Clinical trials show it can halt the disease for nearly 3 times longer than current treatments. Around 1,500 patients a year could benefit. Doctors say this could be the start of a new era in cancer treatment. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Lewis Mackenzie. There's more from me in an hour's time.
All right, hello and welcome everybody. Thank you to my live studio audience. Well, tonight it's fair to say that the Middle East is on the brink. So just moments ago, this was Tel Aviv. Yeah, there it is. And according to the Israeli military, Iran launched less than 100 missiles into the country, most of which have either been intercepted or fallen short. However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that the country should stay prepared for more attacks. US security sources have confirmed to Reuters that the US helped shoot down some of those Iranian missiles that were headed towards Israel. You're looking on your screens now at footage from Tel Aviv earlier on. And I think we can just go live now to Tel Aviv, where you will be able to see the skyline there. I'm going to just bring in, before we go to my panel, GBNews' Home and Security Editor, Mark White, while we sit on those live images. Mark, what is the latest then? Are we expecting any more missile launches from Iran?
Well, 2 waves of ballistic missiles have come from Iran so far. The IDF, Israel Defense Forces, have just confirmed within the last few minutes that fewer than 100 ballistic missiles were launched in total in those 2 waves. But clearly, from the very frightening sights that we saw over the Tel Aviv skyline, there were lots of interceptions there. But of course, they're ballistic missiles. They go up into space, they come down at a very high velocity, and they're very difficult to intercept. Israel has this Iron Dome missile defense array that has short-range missiles, medium-range missiles, and those longer-range Arrow 3 missiles that go up into the outer atmosphere, in fact, into space, where they intercept the ballistic missiles just as they're turning to come down in the termination phase, where they reach these phenomenal speeds. I should say that we're working, Patrick, to bring you the most incredible image. We don't have it yet, but it's a short shot, but it's close up from someone's apartment window, and it shows either a missile or part of a missile coming down and impacting in central Tel Aviv. It is truly terrifying, and we'll bring that image to you as soon as we manage to edit it and turn it around. But we can tell you that tonight the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has spoken to both Benjamin Netanyahu and also to President Donald Trump. To Benjamin Netanyahu, he reiterated the government's, belief that there has to be a diplomatic solution here, but he defends Israel's right to defend itself. We can bring you that image now, Patrick. Take a look at this. Absolutely terrifying images there, and the speed that that missile or missile part was coming down into that apartment block in central Tel Aviv. That's why we're hearing tonight from senior Israeli officials that Iran will pay a high price for targeting civilian areas in Israel. As we speak, the Israeli War Cabinet is meeting at a secret location with a view to determining their next step. Remember, we are in a phase anyway where Israel is going to continue with a bombing campaign to take out the nuclear infrastructure that Iran has, and also those senior commanders. We may see a magnitude above that now. It's a very worrying situation tonight.
Mark, thank you very much. We're going to go back to you. It's Mark White there, our Home and Security Editor. We're able to look at live pictures now of the Tel Aviv skyline, where earlier on there were hits from Iranian missiles. I'm just going to take you now to Israel, Jaffa specifically. Musician and podcaster Winston Marshall joins us down the line. Winston, firstly, how are you? Are you in a safe position for us?
Yes, thank you, Patrick. I'm just the southern part of Tel Aviv and Jaffa. It's been a tense couple of days and a tense couple of hours. It really started, earlier in the week there were missiles from Yemen, but last night at about 3 a.m., interrupting the beginning of the Gay Pride celebrations, was the sirens and alerts announcing the beginning of Operation Rising Lion. We all know what's going on there, and it's to us, we've gone through the drills. It's like, oh, there's something might be coming into Israel. But it seems now that that was a warning sign to tell the people of Israel that war with Iran had begun. And about most of the day has been tense, quiet, most shops closed, although some shops open, relatively peaceful in Tel Aviv along the beach. But around sundown, there was the first warning alerts, and then there were 2 waves of missiles coming in. Your reporter says up to 100. We've heard up to 200, with up to 7 hits. When you can see behind me, this is the skyline of downtown Tel Aviv to my north. We saw the traces coming in from the southeast, and it starts with a handful of them coming in quite slowly with, it seemed like the Iron Dome missiles taking them down. But then there was a big barrage of them. And as the tracers, the orange tracers, come at you, they start very slowly, and then they speed up. So then you get a real sense of, I mean, it's a little terror, frankly. That was the first wave. We then, every building in Israel across, and the whole country's going through the same thing right now, has these safe bunker areas. So everyone goes to those areas, and then we're told, oh, we can relax a little bit. We got out and we witnessed some of the second wave, same thing again. Alarms across the whole city, and we've also heard across the whole country. And we see these orange tracers coming towards us, first slowly and then very rapidly. And again, at that point, we go down to our bunker. So the mood here is pretty tense, and we've been told to be on alert throughout the night. I think that it's done at night intentionally to distress civilian population. I don't think anyone will be sleeping, or certainly not comfortably in Israel tonight and around here.
Winston, thank you very, very much. I really do hope that you stay safe, and I appreciate you quite literally sticking your head above the parapet for us, coming outside, showing us that backdrop there and telling us your experience of what happened there. Thank you so, so much. I am going to have to just go back to Mark White, who is our Home and Security editor, because I believe that we have a breaking news line, Mark.
Yeah, two significant pieces of information to impart. The number of injured now in these ballistic missile attacks from Iran has risen to 40. 40 people injured, and we're told that 2 of those are in critical condition. Most of the injured are being treated in the Sheba Medical Center in Tel Aviv. Another piece of important information to impart, Patrick, and that is confirmation that the US was involved in helping track and shoot down those ballistic missiles before they entered Israeli airspace. We do not know at this stage. I know that one of your commentators earlier suggested UK Typhoon jets from Akrotiri in Cyprus were involved in this operation. We've not got that word at all from the UK government, and indeed are being steered away from that. But we can confirm that the US was involved, of course, a close ally of Israel. They have always, in times of real turmoil like this, where Israel has come under very significant attack, they have come to Israel's aid. They did it the last 2 occasions last year when missiles and drones were fired at Israel, and that has, we're told, happened again this evening.
Thank you very, very much. Mark White there, our Home and Security editor, who's going to be feeding us through breaking news lines as we get them. We're going to keep the live shots of Tel Aviv up in the studio so my audience can see them here, so we'll get any developments immediately, basically. I'm just going to bring my panel in now. Adam Brooks, I'll start with you. Israel has said that Iran has crossed red lines by hitting civilian areas. 40 Israeli casualties, 2 critical. What would you like to see Israel do next?
Well, look, I'd just like to say for years, Iran have openly threatened Israel with annihilation. They've said it publicly, their leaders have said it. If you get nukes, that is a reality. So, in reality, Israel has every right to decapitate that threat. And they did, I think, last night, or they will continue to do that. I do not like seeing civilian accommodation hit on either side. That's not something I want to see. But this is war, and Israel had to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, Miriam, how do people agree with that, do you think, generally, in the audience? Just in case you are just tuning in, we do have a live studio audience in tonight. Clearly a slightly different show to usual, given what's going on in the Middle East. But, Miriam, would you agree with what Adam has to say there?
Yes, I would, and I think it's really important to remember why the Israelis made this strike yesterday, and that's because the International Atomic Energy Association have been warning for some time that Iran is on the verge of getting nuclear missiles. They've got some of the biggest uranium enrichment plants in the world, 50,000 centrifuges, it is believed. And the West has ignored that threat. They've tried diplomacy. They thought we could negotiate with Iran. The Israelis waited for Trump. He sent B-52 bombers to Diego Garcia. They could potentially break some of these bunkers.
Yeah.
But the US has rowed back in recent weeks, and I think the Israelis felt that if they left it any longer, Iran could become a nuclear power, and as Adam said, Iran wants to destroy it.
And they've decided to step up. Now, I'm going to just go to the audience. Now, sir, I had a quick chat with you before. You are a former member of the armed forces, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I'm an ex-Royal Marine.
OK, so with that in mind, what do you make of what's going on at the moment in Israel?
What I can
what
see
do you think
over
about Britain's
there
involvement?
is that if Israel hadn't made that first strike, then those bombs going over Israel now could well have been nuclear. And it wouldn't just be over Israel. Iran is a threat to every country in the world, especially democracies and the West country.
OK.
And I'd like to know how the hell we can stop them if Israel doesn't take a whack.
OK. All right. Well, thank you very much, sir. Tremendous to have you on the show. Christo, your views on this?
I've got some grave concerns. I think you're right in as much as Iran is a threat. Iran is a threat to the UK. We've seen MI5 saying that they've thwarted, I think last year they said they thwarted 20 attacks, potential attacks against the UK from Iran. On paper, if you were looking at this, if you were an alien from another planet, it would seem unfair. You know, why can't Iran have nuclear weapons when you have places like the UK that has them, when you have other places that have them? Hang on, I haven't finished my point. So on paper, I absolutely agree, it doesn't seem fair. But they have ill intent. They have completely ill intent against us. The problem I have is I have absolutely zero desire for us to enter another Middle Eastern conflict. I have absolutely zero desire. We talk so much in this country, on this channel, about how we are sick to death of being the peacekeepers of the world. We're sick to death of going in places. We were told Iraq was a terrible threat towards us, and we ended up in a war that didn't make us safer.
I think we invaded the wrong country, didn't we, to be honest with you?
Yes, but we still ended up interfering in the Middle East and not becoming safer as a result of it. Would we be safer as a result of this not being dialed down? And that's what needs to happen now.
Former Labour Minister Bill Rumble, what does the Labour government do here? They've got themselves in a right pickle. Earlier this week, they sanctioned 2 Israeli politicians. There's a huge amount of pressure from the hard left to defund and de-arm Israel. You know, massive pro-Palestine mob there are either sitting on the backbenches within the Labour Party or some of the independents, or are outside on the streets of London and elsewhere. How does the Prime Minister handle this?
Well, look, I mean, you know, there are huge pressures, and I need no persuading that Iran is a serious threat. It's a militant theocracy that destabilises the Middle East and the wider world. You know, I lived and worked in Iraqi Kurdistan for 18 months and saw bombs going off outside my apartment, which were rocket attacks from the Iranian or terrorists sponsored by Iran. And Iran is seeking nuclear capability. But what Israel has done, I think, is dangerous and worrying. It wasn't done with the agreement and support of the US and the international community. You know, the negotiations...
You don't know that, Bill.
I think the US
it's very clear.
The US had said they knew.
You don't know that, Bill.
They knew about it, but the clear statement from the State Department, the support this morning, made it very clear it was distancing itself from the assault. And
I think the US has just said that, by the way, one of the breaking news I had earlier was that the US have helped to shoot down Iranian missiles.
Because the situation is fast-moving and they're changing their position. But look, the negotiations that were due to take place in Qatar on Sunday with Iran, with the American envoy, have now been cancelled. Okay. There is a real risk that Iran completely withdraws from what's called the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which means the limited access the International Atomic Energy Agency has got to see what they're doing and how they're doing it will be reduced. Oil prices have already gone up by 13%. You know, this is massively dangerous.
But when are we going to learn from history? In 2015, Obama hailed this great deal that Iran was going to negotiate, stop nuclear proliferation. We withdrew sanctions, and guess what? They used that money to arm Hezbollah, to arm Hamas, and to restart their nuclear programme. They have evil intent, as you've said. Israel knows that the best form of defence is attack. We in the West are too wet to do that, but at least they're willing to try.
Okay. But you know what?
I want to know what the audience think about this. Would you be in favour of Britain militarily helping Israel? Yes. Right. Would anyone not be in favour of it?
I would definitely be in favour.
Get the microphone. Sorry, quickly. Well, go on, very quickly, sir, then we're going to have to go.
More than anything else, I would definitely see, I know we're not there yet, but a diplomatic solution somehow, some way. heads talking, people talking, getting round that table and trying to sort this one hell of a mess out.
The regime has to go for that to happen now, and I think it will go in the coming weeks.
All right, guys.
Well, that's a possibility.
Okay.
The other possibility is we have all-out war in the Middle East that we get sucked into, and I don't think British people want that.
Again. OK, well, look, so we're going to keep you up to date with everything that goes on there. Fast-moving picture. Will the Iranians launch more missiles? Will Israel respond tonight? We'll have to wait and see. We've got people on the ground over there for you. We've got Mark White who's covering it all, so we'll return to it. But it is not the only story in town. This is a big one because 7 men have been found guilty of grooming gang offences in Rochdale. It is another Pakistani rape gang conviction, OK? I am asking, should any offender born overseas be deported? Well, 4 of them were. Do people think we should just deport them? Yes. Right, OK. Well, we're going to be hearing from my audience and my panel on that next. Stay tuned.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Cur weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Tomorrow, join GB News as we mark the King's official birthday. Trooping the Colour, hosted by Charlie Peters, Miriam Cates and me, Cameron Walker, live from Buckingham Palace. From 10 a.m. tomorrow on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Absolute pleasure to be joined by my live studio audience. And get a load of this. So today, another Pakistani rape gang was convicted. 7 men, there they are, 7 men have been found guilty of grooming abuse offences against 2 teenage girls in Rochdale between 2001 and 2006. They are getting named and shamed, OK? We've got Mohammed Zahid, Naheem Akram, Mohammed Shahzad, Nisar Hussain, Rohiz Khan, Mushtaq Ahmed and Kasir Bashir. The girls were abused in alleyways, warehouses, taxis, filthy houses, rank mattresses, damp basements. It's horrific. Our reporter Charlie Peters was at the particular case. He says that the evidence was some of the worst he'd ever heard. 4 of these men, though, 4 of these men, Zahid, Bashir, Ahmed and Khan, were born in Pakistan. So they are Pakistani. They came to Britain and then they committed this kind of abuse. Should they be deported, do you think?
Yes. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Sure. It's common sense. It's common sense. Well, just before I came on air, this news broke. A new report from the National Audit on Group-Based Child Sexual Exploitation and Abuse. It's a big report, this. It's due out next week. Well, the Sun newspaper claims that they've had advance sight of this report, and they say that this report, it's the first one of its kind, specifically links illegal immigration to violence against vulnerable girls. OK? Now, apparently, the government is afraid of this report because of stuff like this. So the Home Office has said, oh, well, look, hey, nothing is more important than protecting vulnerable children. And we are determined to crack down on vile grooming gangs once and for all. That's why we ordered a rapid national audit to uncover the true scale of the horrific abuse. This report, alongside our response, will be published shortly. But let's be honest, they're terrified of civil unrest, aren't they? They're absolutely terrified of it. And I think that they fear civil unrest more than they fear young British girls being abused by foreign men. Let's get the views of my panel. I don't know if anyone in the audience wants to make any points on this as well, but Adam, I'll start with you again. So we are waiting for confirmation as to whether or not they're going to deport these men. This is an easy win for the government. There's 4 Pakistani men there who were born in Pakistan. Get them gone, surely.
If they're not deported, then I believe there could be trouble on the streets of this country. It is a tinderbox out there. I'm a father of 2 girls. Stories like this infuriate me and anger me more than most. These monsters are disproportionately more likely to be involved in the sexual grooming and raping of children. Pakistani men are 4 to 5 times more likely to be involved in this. We have a serious problem in this country, and the only deterrent now is hard justice, and that hard justice needs to be imprisonment for those that are born here and deportation for those that weren't.
Adam, stop being so far right. Honestly, you really are. You're so far right. But that is what is going to be said. I mean, that's the problem. And actually, this is all linked, because what we're seeing in Northern Ireland, what we're seeing in what we saw in Southport, this is people who are wrong, by the way. Rioting is always wrong, but these are people who are absolutely sick to the back teeth of nothing being done. And look, fair play, because actually the detective superintendent in charge of this said that the force should have done more at the time, because these girls were dismissed. They were under the care of children's services in Rochdale as well, and weren't properly looked after. Just very quickly, I spoke to Maggie Oliver today.
Yep.
And
she's just for everyone, she's the
she was the whistleblowing detective from Rochdale, who now has the Maggie Oliver Foundation. My God, she thinks the sun shines out of you because of the money you raised for her, which of course was amazing.
Well, it wasn't me, it was everyone.
It was everyone. That's amazing. If I say your name, I'll get a diatribe of praise for you. But she is so crestfallen by all of this. And do you know there are 7 more trials to come?
Right.
Which are linked to all of this. I mean, this is why we get unrest. This is why we end up with all of this.
Bill, do you think some of the things that Adam said there were a bit too far, or what do you reckon?
I very strongly welcome the guilty verdicts that have come out today. When you read some of the detail of this case, that 13-year-old girls in children's homes, and the officials knew they were going off with men in their 50s and 60s, and they didn't report it. It beggars belief. And it needs to be tackled. The fact that the government is bringing in changes to make it a criminal offence to cover up any report of child sexual abuse is hugely important. The review that you're referring to, is, as I understand it, is the Louise Casey review, an audit to uncover the scale of the grooming gangs and their ethnicity. Louise Casey takes no prisoners, and I think it is very likely that part of the outcome of that is going to be deportation, and the immigration white paper made it easier to deport.
But we've been trying to deport 2 other Rochdale grooming gang convicts for a while. We've got Adil Khan and Abdul Qari Rauf, who we've been trying to deport for longer than 13 years. It's been absolutely... So there they are. We've been trying... And what they did was they realised that they were up for deportation, and between them and their crafty lawyers decided to shred their Pakistani passports, which means that technically, if we deported them, we'd make them stateless. Well, I don't really think anyone cares about that. One of them works as a food delivery driver now in the local area. So if you order food, one of his victims orders food in that area, he might knock on her door and deliver it to her. It's mental. And, you know, if the government really is, Miriam, afraid of civil unrest, maybe they should care more about the actual problem.
Well, absolutely, and it's understandable how angry people are. I mean, it's just an astonishing case, and when you read the detail and you think about what actually was endured by those children for so many years, and the fact that because they were so vulnerable, they were in children's homes, they didn't have parents, they didn't have anyone to advocate them. Some of them didn't even realise that what was happening to them was out of the ordinary. They didn't report it, and of course they would have been too afraid to do so anyway. I think it just begs so many questions about our society, not just the cowardice about covering up things in case they seem racist, but also how we can abandon this many children and have this attitude, well, if they've chosen that lifestyle, then we won't report it, which is just shocking. There's so many layers of wrong. But I think underneath it all, it does prove that culture matters. And if you're part of a culture that doesn't think white girls, for example, have any value, then are we surprised?
I think it's racist. I think what's racist here is the abuse. I think that's what it is.
These are actually should have been tried as hate crimes.
Stats cannot be racist, and the reason that the Labour government do not want a full inquiry into this, let's be honest, is because the Labour Party are up to this in their necks. From councillors to politicians, Labour is rotten to the core with the grooming gang scandal.
Adam, that's a lie, it's smear and abuse. This Labour government...
What, Labour councillors and that weren't involved in this bill, no?
You've had a say, let me have my say.
What, Labour councillors weren't involved in it, Bill, no?
This Labour government is gripping the problem.
Answer me, Bill.
I'm answering.
Labour councillors weren't involved, no?
I'm answering you. This Labour government is gripping the problem and making change happen in a way the previous Conservative government did not.
They're blocking a national inquiry bill.
Keir Starmer, when he was Director of Public Prosecutions, and you listen to Andrew Norfolk, who's the Times journalist...
He failed at his job.
Can you let me make a point? Andrew Norfolk, who's recently died, the Times journalist who exposed the grooming gang scandal, credits Keir Starmer of recognising there was a major problem, changing the prosecutorial rules so that action should be taken.
So why was it still covered up? Why did it still go on, Bill? That is absolute nonsense. They're up to this in their neck.
We're 10 months in power, and we've ordered a complete audit of the scale of the problem.
And you've pushed back on a national inquiry.
Yeah, because a national inquiry would cost over £10 billion and take 10 years.
Money well spent.
Now.
Money well spent.
In this room, do people feel as though the Labour government is handling the issue of the Pakistani rape gangs well? No. Right, OK.
I must be far right again then, Bill, because all these people agree with me.
All right. Well, we are out of time. Sorry, we'll come to the audience in the next section. I promise. Sorry about this, but we've had to shred up various different running orders already this evening. But up next, the Chief Secretary to the Treasury faced a furious reaction last night after he claimed that the majority of people on small boats are actually women, children, and babies. Is this government allergic to the truth?
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Temperatures are on the rise this week, particularly across parts of Spain and Portugal. It's likely we'll see heatwave conditions over the coming days. And with the hot temperatures comes plenty of sunshine, particularly across Spain, Portugal, though we can't rule out a few showers across southern parts of France, northern parts of Italy on Saturday. But otherwise, it's plenty of hot sunshine, particularly across Italy, where we'll start to see temperatures move into the mid-30s. And that sunshine is set to continue into next week, along with the hot weather.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We have seen the heat and humidity build during the last few days, and overnight that breaks down with the risk of torrential thunderstorms, large hail and gusty winds, as well as frequent lightning in places. Developments are already occurring across northern France, and they are drifting northwards across parts of the UK overnight. It's during the evening that the greatest risk of these torrential thunderstorms occurs through East Anglia as well as Kent. Always uncertainty with these kinds of situations in terms of exactly where the thunderstorms will track, but where they do hit, risk of severe impacts. And it's not just the southeast. Other parts of the UK are likely to see heavy rain overnight, rumbles of thunder, as well as some gusty winds. But by the start of Saturday, many of the heavy showers are moving northwards. A wet start for eastern and southeastern Scotland. Some heavy rain out there for Perth and Edinburgh first thing. Drier for the western coast of Scotland and the Western Isles. And also drier towards the west of Northern Ireland, but in the east, some heavy rain first thing. Showers developing from the word go through northern England, parts of Wales, as well as the south and southeast. We could see further showers at times during the morning. But the general idea through Saturday is for the wettest of the weather to drift north, and it's across northern England and southeast Scotland where there's the greatest risk during Saturday afternoon of further heavy showers, thunderstorms, as well as some gusty winds. But towards the southeast, drier by the end of the day with some sunshine. There's still some warmth, 26 or 27 Celsius. Elsewhere, the rain and showers overnight gradually peters out, so that Sunday starts off much quieter. We're going to see plenty of sunshine first thing. Further showers are likely to develop as the day goes on. Hit and miss scattered showers, not quite as lively as the next 24 hours. And then we've got higher pressure building in from the south for Monday, Tuesday, drier and warmer for most of us.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. Thank you to my wonderful studio audience. Well, I'm not easily shocked, but last night, Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Darren Jones, went on BBC Question Time and told you not to believe your eyes.
And when you see that the majority of the people in these boats are children, babies and women who have been...
No, they're not.
Yeah, OK. May I just remind Mr Jones that I actually went to Calais and met the people who are queuing up to get into those boats. And guess what? Didn't really see many women and children. No, in fact, the vast majority of them seem to be young men, as it happens. Now, Darren Jones then posted on X earlier today, OK? So we all heard what he said. You all heard what he said there, right? So now, here we go. A man who has been accused of dishonesty with that statement. He comes out and goes, I shared a story from my visit to the Border Security Command about a dinghy that arrived mostly carrying women, children and babies who had suffered horrific burns. I'm happy to clarify this, given how it's been misrepresented. Now, look, the cynic in me, Mr Jones, would suggest that you have tried to cover up a, how do I say it, deceit with another deceit. So, not a great look. Also, earlier this week, Rachel Reeves, our dear Chancellor, said this.
We had to make difficult decisions last year. The public finances were in a total mess when I became Chancellor last summer, and we had to take immediate action to get control and get a grip of the public finances. We have been able to do that. We've returned stability to the economy. In the first quarter of this year, our economy was the fastest growing in all of the G7, which now means we're able to make different choices. And that's why today I can announce that this winter, 9 million pensioners will now receive the winter fuel payment.
Not really true either, is it? No one believes that she's given them the winter fuel payment back because she's sorted the economy out. I mean, she's sorted it and we're living in a different country, aren't we? And that was before the Prime Minister said he can build a load of new social homes because of all the tax he's raised from taxing private schools. The truth there is that it's cost them money. Bill, is your government allergic to the truth?
No, it's not. But let's deal with Darren Jones. I'm not going to pretend to defend it. What he said was palpably wrong. And he started to rectify the situation. I hope he'll do more of that at the weekend. But the criticism I would make of the government that I support is ineffective communications, and I think that's been the case since day one of this government. It should have been much clearer, if we're particularly talking about the boat crossings, that it will take time. You know, we have just started to see today changed actions from the French police.
1,000 blokes crossed today, and some women.
But for the first time, the French authorities were intervening against the boats, using tear gas. There's going to be an announcement in a couple of weeks' time. The legal changes to help us tackle the gangs are still going through the House of Lords. The test of this is going to be in 6 to 9 months' time as to whether those measures have started to reduce the numbers.
I'll go, Shawnee then, Christo. Go on. As an audience member here, I would like to make a little point. Is it about Labour's potential lack of honesty as well?
Yes, firstly, may I say happy 4th anniversary to GB News.
Thank you very much. Well
done. As someone who's stood for the Conservatives in local government, the person who won the seat I stood for has been the most dishonest and still is in terms of his living situation, living in Liverpool and not representing his residents.
All right.
So that annoys me quite a bit, but my main question is that most politicians claim to do one thing and do another.
Yeah.
So is Keir Starmer's government more dishonest than Blair's over Iraq, or is that still the benchmark?
OK. Oh, it's an interesting question. Go on, Chris, what do you think?
It's a really low benchmark, isn't it? It's a really terrible benchmark. The bench is just... it's in the basement, isn't it? Now, I just want to pick up on your point, Bill, because you said that he started to clarify the situation, Darren Jones. Look, it's gaslighting. That's what he's doing, because he's not clarifying the situation. He's telling us not to believe what we heard, because he's now making out that he was talking about his personal experience when he went on that visit, which is not what he was saying last night. And that's the problem. They don't say, you know what, I made a claim last night and it turns out that I was wrong. They gaslight us. They tell us that black is white. The winter fuel payment U-turn because the economy is doing so well. That's a lie. Southport, say no more. Smashing the GANs, crossings are up. Chagos deal is good for Britain. Mauritius has got so much money now, they're making tax cuts. You know, difficult decisions, fixing the foundations, voting for change. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense.
I agree with you on Darren Jones. I think he made a complete howler and he should go further in his apology.
He's gaslighting us.
I don't think he's deliberately gaslighting, but he needs to make it clear. However, you talk about the record of the last Labour government. Let's talk about asylum numbers. They're back up to 84,000 a year now. They were in the early 2000s. By the time Labour left office, judge governments by what they do eventually, not what they say. The numbers were down to 17,000. You can make the change happen, and I think this government will do that.
What a shame they had a war that caused so many to come.
OK. All right. Now, look, sorry. Can I just say, because we're massively pressed for time, we're going to be returning to the issue of the small boats crossings in the next hour. So I will come to you two first on that. So apologies. Remarkably, we've still found time for this, though. It's the Great British Giveaway, which is £54,321. Here's how you can win it.
We're kick-starting summer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Jubes, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GBNews family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome to my live studio audience show. Very shortly, we're going to have a special guest in the studio that no one seems to know who it is yet, so we've managed to keep one secret, which is good. But the government has come up with a novel idea to curb the rough sleeping crisis. They're going to decriminalise it. That's right. So the 200-year-old Vagrancy Act is going to be scrapped. Angela Rayner called it cruel and outdated. The concerns here for a lot of people are obvious, though, aren't they? Are you going to see more people in tents? Is it going to be a magnet for illegal migrants to come? Is it going to lead to more disorder, etc.? I'm pressed for time, so I'm going to go straight to my panel. Miriam, where are you on the old rough sleeping debate? Are you concerned by this decriminalisation?
Very much. I mean, it absolutely should not be decriminalised. The problem with the left, the problem with Liberals, is they think that all boundaries and all borders and all laws are somehow cruel. And that we should not restrict people or cause people harm. Well, of course we shouldn't cause people harm, but nevertheless, boundaries and laws are there to keep society safe. And I think at the heart of it, Liberals are just cowards. They don't want to enforce boundaries because they don't like having to be the ones that make the rules or make the punishments. They'd rather just live and let live. But we see exactly what happens when we don't have boundaries and borders. You look at immigration, you look at all sorts of things. And I think if you send the signal that this is OK, then we will have more of it. That's always what happens when you liberalise laws.
I mean, look, you can have, it's fair play to have sympathy for people who are homeless, don't get me wrong, but I think you can see...
So just one more thing. The other thing we need to look at is how, in the past, until the 60s, a lot of people with severe mental health problems, I don't mean anxiety and depression, I mean kind of, psychiatric illnesses, were incarcerated. Now, whether or not they were treated well, which is obviously a very important point, it nevertheless kept people off the streets. And since we've changed how we treat mental illness like that, we've seen an explosion in homelessness.
Well, go on, Adam. Where are you on this?
Look, you only need to look in this area, Paddington. You go to the station and there is foreign rough sleepers all along near the station. Not only does it smell, but it's a health hazard as well. Now, by decriminalising this, we're almost sending a message to the migrants. Don't worry, you can get a tent and sleep anywhere in London. One thing I will say is the left might support this until these people are defecating on the pavements outside their front doors. Then suddenly you're going to hear a real lot of noise. So that's
yeah. I mean, it's people have got a problem as well with the idea that, OK, if Labour are saying they're going to shut all migrant hotels by 2029, one of the things is like, well, where are you going to put people? And then if you start to decriminalise rough sleeping, it's like, well, are you just going to put them in tents then?
You're going to end up like Paris. Some areas of Paris have migrant tents all over the place.
So we've not got long. So are you going to make a point very quickly, please?
Yeah, a quick point. I mean, I think the homelessness is a double-edged sword, because you shouldn't criminalise someone for losing a house. So that any members of you could lose your house and be on the street. This could go bust. Why should you be criminalised for that?
Thanks for that vote of confidence, by the way. 4-year anniversary today.
Yeah, but on the other side, I do see with the whole... I've seen it myself in areas where I've seen migrants homeless on the street, but then that's really down to the government, successive governments failing the immigration policy, because you look at policies from Australia and America and places like that, in no way would you get into that country if you ain't got a job or a house and any way to look after yourself. So it's a bit of a double-ended sword, this one.
I also think as well, look, we do talk a lot about immigration here. Yes, there is a problem with that. I think there's just a general thing as well, which is that if you are someone who's walking home from work, for example, it's not just immigration, but just like Brits who are homeless or anything like that, who have got other issues, or someone who puts a tent outside your house. Before, you had relative confidence, maybe, that if you called the police, they'd move them on. Now, I don't think the police can really do anything, can they?
Yeah, and the problem, I think, is that no one. I think people generally have sympathy if they see someone who is homeless, sort of in a doorway, or a vagrant, that kind of thing. But these are cities. These are tent cities, and that's what's different. So to sort of decriminalise that is a bit mental.
All right. So, look, we've only got a few seconds left on the hour, so what I want to say is that stay where you are. Go on quickly, 10 seconds.
It's updating the law. You can still take action about organised begging and trespassing. But, the last Labour government...
All right, we've got to go. Up next, we've got a very, very special guest. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We have seen the heat and humidity build during the last few days, and overnight that breaks down with the risk of torrential thunderstorms, large hail and gusty winds, as well as frequent lightning in places. Developments are already occurring across northern France, and they are drifting northwards across parts of the UK overnight. It's during the evening that the greatest risk of these torrential thunderstorms occurs through East Anglia as well as Kent. Always uncertainty with these kinds of situations in terms of exactly where the thunderstorms will track, but where they do hit, risk of severe impacts. And it's not just the southeast. Other parts of the UK are likely to see heavy rain overnight, rumbles of thunder, as well as some gusty winds. But by the start of Saturday, many of the heavy showers are moving northwards. A wet start for eastern and southeastern Scotland. Some heavy rain out there for Perth and Edinburgh first thing. Drier for the western coast of Scotland and the Western Isles, and also drier towards the west of Northern Ireland, but in the east, some heavy rain first thing. Showers developing from the word go through northern England, parts of Wales, as well as the south and southeast. We could see further showers at times during the morning, but the general idea through Saturday is for the wettest of the weather to drift north, and it's across northern England and southeast Scotland where there's the greatest risk during Saturday afternoon of further heavy showers, thunderstorms, as well as some gusty winds. But towards the southeast, drier by the end of the day with some sunshine. There's still some warmth, 26 or 27 Celsius. Elsewhere, the rain and showers overnight gradually peters out, so that Sunday starts off much quieter. We're going to see plenty of sunshine first thing. Further showers are likely to develop as the day goes on. Hit and miss scattered showers, not quite as lively as the next 24 hours. And then we've got higher pressure building in from the south for Monday, Tuesday, drier and warmer for most of us.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
£54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. Oh my God. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Blinds close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Cur weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I'm going to start this side. Come on. How are we doing? Hello. Yes, all right. Now, OK, well, it's going to be an action-packed hour because it's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Welcome to the live studio audience tonight. The Middle East is on the brink as Iran launches missiles into Tel Aviv. Now, moments ago, this is the breaking news, literally what I was talking about outside a second ago, Israel have now fired back, so Tehran is being bombed as we speak. So we're going to bring you all of the latest developments. In other news, it's the fourth night, potentially, of unrest in Northern Ireland. Bricks, beer kegs thrown at police in Portadown after a peaceful protest earlier on in Ballymena. We are going to go live to Northern Ireland with Doogie Beattie. On my panel tonight, we have got GB News superstar Miriam Cates. We've got former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. We've got broadcasting royalty Christo Foufas. And fan favourite landlord activist Adam Brooks. And I'll have a very, very special guest in this studio very shortly. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Tehran is currently being bombed. I'll have all of that with a very, very special guest next.
Patrick, thank you. Good evening. It's just after 10 o'clock. We'll be keeping you up to date on everything happening in Israel and Tehran. But for now, here are the other stories making the headlines. The sole survivor of the Air India crash has spoken from his hospital bed, saying he watched people die in front of his very eyes. The British national Viswash Kumar Ramesh says the plane felt like it was struck in the air before crashing into a medical college in Ahmedabad, killing 241 people. Tributes are pouring in as investigators search for answers. One black box has now been recovered. That's as UK and US teams are joining the inquiry. As Patrick alluded to, there's been a fourth night of unrest in Northern Ireland as bricks and kegs were thrown at police in Portadown. The violence follows a peaceful protest in Ballymena on Monday over an alleged sexual assault. But police say it was hijacked by racist thugs. 41 officers have been injured, while families had to hide in attics, and a leisure centre used as a shelter was torched. More than 15 arrests have been made so far. 7 men who sexually exploited 2 13-year-old girls in Rochdale have been convicted at Manchester Crown Court. The court were told the men groomed their victims as sex slaves, exploiting their vulnerabilities, though through a campaign of manipulation, which occurred between 2001 and 2006. The 7 men now await sentencing for their crimes. Patients in England are the first in the world to receive a new Trojan horse therapy that targets blood cancer with pinpoint precision. It works by smuggling toxic chemotherapy directly into myeloma cells, sparing healthy ones and cutting side effects. Clinical trials show it can halt the disease for nearly 3 times longer than current testaments. Around 1,500 patients a year could benefit. Doctors say this could be the start of a new era of cancer treatment. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Lewis Mackenzie. More from me in an hour's time.
Right.
OK, well, welcome to Patrick Christys tonight with my live studio audience. Hello, everybody. Hello. It's tremendous to have so many people here. People have travelled a heck of a long way. We've got someone from Windermere in the Lake District, so that's top effort, that. Top effort. There we are. Well, earlier on today, this happened.
ويتنامي هندق أفغاني وهندق عرب وهم شكل نقلا شوف كمان بخواي كنبوا.
Around 1,000 illegal immigrants came across the channel today alone. Earlier in the week, this happened.
Well, I'm delighted that today we have reached a historic solution that I believe is pragmatic and gives the people of Gibraltar the certainty they need for their sovereignty.
Honestly, you can just hear the cogs turning in his mind there, can't you? The government signed a surrender deal on Gibraltar. On the same day, this happened.
Defence spending will now rise to 2.6% of GDP by April 2027, to £280 million more per year by the end of the spending review for our new border security command. We will be ending the costly use of hotels to house asylum seekers, an extra £29 billion per year for the day-to-day running of our health service.
Money, 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 absolutely, yes. Rachel Reeves is accused of bankrupting Britain. And then today we had this, another Pakistani rape gang being convicted. And that, of course, is before we've even got onto this. So that was the Iranian strike on Israel. The breaking line to bring you in the last few moments is that Israel has now struck back, and apparently Tehran is currently being bombed. We're going to get you footage of that as soon as we get it. But there's a reason why I'm rounding all of these stories up, OK? Because there is a lot to talk about. And as you can see, There's an empty chair next to me here on Patrick Christys tonight. We like to mix things up a bit. We like to surprise the live audience. They've gone to a lot of effort to get here on a Friday evening, so I wanted to introduce a very special guest.
To know the truth about who's committing crime in our country. Indicative data suggests that Afghan and Eritrean nationals are 20 times more likely to be convicted of a sexual offence than a British citizen. That Congolese nationals are almost 12 times more likely to be convicted of a violent crime.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Shadow Justice Minister, Robert Jemrick. Hello, Robert. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you very much for coming. Take a seat, take a seat. Thank you very much for this. Well, look, if people hear our discussion now and you feel desperate that you want to ask a little question, put your hand up, we get a microphone to you. So thank you so much for coming in tonight.
My pleasure. Good to be here.
We do have to start with, I think, the ongoing events in the Middle East. As we understand it, Israel has just hit back. We're going to probably bring up some live shots of what we can see at the moment. What has to happen now? Does this government need to do more to support Israel, do you think?
Well, we all want to see peace in the Middle East, but let's not pretend anything other than that Iran is an enemy of the UK. They have been committing malign activities here in the UK for many, many years. And, of course, they have a stated objective of wiping Israel off the map. And so we should be supporting Israel at a time like this. Imagine if a near neighbour of ours was determined to wipe us off the map, and if that was trying to build a nuclear bomb. It's right that Israel defends itself.
Yes, and the concern, I think, for a lot of people will be that if it does erupt, that we might see more disruption on the streets of Britain, a bit like we've been seeing with some of the pro-Palestine protests as well. What would you like to see done there if we do start to see issues here?
Well, look, we need to make sure that there are peaceful protests if there are them here in the UK, but they don't, as has happened time and time again, trip into something much more disturbing, like the kind of anti-Semitism and extremism that we've seen on the streets right the way back to October the 7th. When I was in the Home Office with Suella Braverman, we raised concerns, we pushed the police to robustly enforce our extremism laws. I don't want to see people shouting abuse, making the Jewish community here in the United Kingdom feel uncomfortable walking the streets of their own capital city.
Do you think that the British Armed Forces should militarily support Iran if there is all-out war with it? Support Israel, if there is all-out war with Iran?
Well, we have in the past provided some assistance to Israel when there were strikes over the course of the last year or two, so I think it would be right for us to do so again.
OK, all right. Well, I'm going to just, I think, we're going to be seeing live shots there for television. I'll bring you more updates. But the initial reason why I wanted you on, actually, was because you published another one of your videos earlier today. We've had some fantastic stuff, haven't we, the ticket touts on trains as well. And most people saw that.
Have you all paid your fares this evening? I'll come round and I'll be checking your tickets before you leave.
Yeah, this is it. Well, fair enough, all right. But you did another one today, and it was essentially your roundup of the Migrant Crime League table. We played it in the openers there, so I won't rehash it. Can you summarise what the facts are when it comes to migrant crime levels in Britain, please? Nationality crime levels as well.
Well, I just want to know the truth about who's committing crime in our country. From what little we do know, we think around 23% of all crimes are committed by foreigners, and there are massive disparities in the likelihood of somebody to commit a crime by their nationality. The indicative data we have suggests that an Albanian, for example, is 123 times more likely to be convicted of a drug offence than a British citizen. There are some foreign nationalities that are actually less likely to commit crime, like Germans, Americans, Indian citizens. But we don't know really the full facts, and successive governments have refused to put this into the public domain. I've been trying to push governments, including the former Conservative government, for a very long time. What I'm doing now is tabling an amendment to a piece of legislation going through Parliament, and this is going to go to a vote. So Keir Starmer will have a choice: publish migrant crime data, let you all know what's really going on, understand who is being convicted of crime by nationality, how they got into the country, their visa status, their asylum status, and then we can actually make policies to keep you safe. Or, if Keir Starmer doesn't want to do that, I think he is perpetuating yet another cover-up, not allowing you to understand, to know fully what's actually happening in our own country.
Just on this, I mean, I know that presumably most of you are regular GBNews viewers and listeners. We really did try here to get a Migrant Crime League table published. Is that something that you would want to see? Didn't we have a right to know that? Yeah. Yeah, it just seems astonishing that we don't have one, really. Do you think that Labour are going to do this, though? I mean, Yvette Cooper has said that she's going to publish details of people who are, I think, who commit crime whilst their asylum claim is being...
Who are awaiting deportation or are liable for deportation, which is a very limited part of the problem. I want to see the whole. I want to see the whole picture. You know, the data that we do know that's been dragged out of government, kicking and screaming, is very disturbing. You saw on that video that I posted that an Afghan or an Eritrean national is 20 times more likely to be convicted of a sexual offence than a British citizen. Now, I think you deserve to know that, if that's the case. And then we've got to design policies according to that. You know, our immigration policy, at its absolute heart, should have keeping the British public safe. And if it means that some nationalities are much more likely to commit serious crimes that harm our own citizens, then we have to take decisions accordingly.
The obvious pushback to that is the fact that a lot of the damage that was done in terms of the importation of foreign criminals was done under your former government, and your former government, as you've already said, did not publish the migrant crime league tables. Was that a mistake? Do you wish you'd have gone further when you had the chance?
Well, a few people have been more honest about the mistakes of the last Conservative government. I actually resigned from Cabinet because I didn't think we were making the right choices on immigration. And when we were in government and I was a backbencher, I tabled an amendment to try to do exactly this, working, in fact, with you, Patrick, and GBNews. So neither government has made the right choices, but we can fix this now. And I'm more interested in the present and the future. How do we get this right to keep our own people safe?
All right. I'm quite keen at some point to go to the audience. So if people do want to make any points on anything or ask Ms Generally something, there's a chap you'd like to make a point, would you? We can get your microphone. We get the microphone over to him. Is that possible? All right. Here we go. It's one of those anything can happen moments, and I think we'll be all right. What would you like to say, sir? What would you like to say?
I think just recently, over the past few governments, what we need to see is we need to see accountability, massively accountability. And that's going to be so important to a lot of ordinary, every working day people. We get public inquiries, but then nothing seems to happen. So on the agenda of any government should be accountability for what's going on. And that's what this audience would like to see as well, accountability for people who break the law.
So just to break that down a bit then, so you would, like to see people spend longer in prison for committing serious crimes? Is that what you mean?
100%, yeah. You can't let them out with... you know, you can't lock up people who want to... Yes, tags, exactly. You can't lock up people who are making Facebook things or things on Twitter and let criminals out. What does that kind of a message send to anybody? Okay. So, you know, accountability must be...
Well, that's well within your brief.
It is, and I totally agree with you, sir. I think that people were already raging at the fact that people were being released from prison after serving a fraction of their sentence before you got this Labour government coming in and saying they're going to go even further. In fact, now, Keir Starmer has said that almost no one will serve a prison sentence of 12 months or less. That means if you get convicted of burglary, of theft, if you're a thug who beats somebody up, you're very unlikely to go to jail. And if you do go to jail for really serious things like assault, like even rape, you will serve 50% or less of your sentence, and you're back out on the street.
They say that's because you didn't build enough prisons.
Well, we should have built enough prisons, but what we've got to be doing first and foremost is getting all the foreign national offenders out of our jail. Labour say they need to find about 8,000 extra prison places in the coming years. That's a lot of places, but there's 10,800 foreign national offenders in our prisons right now. So why don't we strain every sinew to get those foreign offenders out of our prisons, out of our country? That is the first thing that we should be doing. And frankly, as you said, sir, I don't think a tag is justice. Do you think that's a deterrent? Does anyone really think that having a little bit of, you know, plastic or a rubber tag on you is going to stop you committing another crime? It's pathetic.
OK. Oh, here we go. We were 40. So are you quite angry? Sorry, can we just get the microphone over there? Is that all right? I'll come back to you. Thank you. Look, sorry to put you on the spot, but what's your point?
I'm going to keep it simple. I mean, you say everything, but you had 14 years to do. You had 14 years to do so. You sit here, it's all well and good, but you had 14 years to do so. You blame it on everybody else, but you literally were in government, in cabinet. You had 14 years to do such. Okay. Fine, sit here and spread the remit on everybody else.
OK.
Look, I think the last Conservative government made mistakes, and what do you do? You have to learn from those mistakes, and you've got to put forward constructive proposals to make our country a better place. That's my job now. I'm in opposition. I'm the Shadow Justice Secretary. my role is to hold Labour to account, and I think this is a failing Labour government, and bring forward serious, credible answers to try and make the country a better place. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm afraid that if things were poor in the past, the Labour Party is making things even worse, releasing prisoners early. Look what Keir Starmer is doing on illegal migration. You've seen 1,000 people, undocumented people, mostly young men, incidentally, not what the fantasist Darren Jones had to say last night on Question Time, flooding into our country on small boats. Time and again, Starmer is making this country a worse place, and my job is to hold him to account on your behalf.
We had 40 years. Just before we go to the front here, sorry, but it's very relevant to what we're talking about. We had the news earlier on today that there is this latest rape gang. 4 of them were born in Pakistan. Now, we're awaiting confirmation from the government as to whether or not they're going to deport them. You are Shadow Justice Minister, hoping to one day be Justice Minister, at the minimum, probably. What would you do? Would you deport these people?
Yeah, look, I want to get those despicable people deported out of our country as quickly as possible. Let's see what happens when they're sentenced. Incidentally, I think they should get proper sentences.
Right.
I don't know if you saw recently, but some of these rape gang perpetrators are getting pathetically low sentences. There was a group that I have referred to the Attorney General for his consideration as unduly lenient sentences recently because they were getting 6.5 years for drugging young girls and then raping them time and again. And in those cases, it had taken 25 years and I think 3 different court cases for them to finally get justice. I don't think 6.5 years is justice, is it? And on that occasion, the Attorney General and the court stepped in and the sentences were increased to 11 years. I've said that rape gang perpetrators should get full life sentences. I don't think these kind of people should ever see the light of day again. And if they are foreigners, then as soon as they finish their censorship, should be out of our country. I don't want them ever walking the streets of this country.
A gentleman on the front row here. Now, you mentioned earlier on, I think, you Conservative councillor or something. Is that right?
That's right. I stood for Shropshire Council.
So, I have to ask you then, presumably you're a Conservative member. Who did you vote for the leadership?
You'll be pleased to know that I voted for you, Robert.
Right, OK, that's a relief. I thought it was going to get awkward there for a second. Well, would you still rather he was the leader as opposed to Kemi Badenoch then?
Look, when Kemi was elected, I said on social media that I will and always will support the Conservative Party no matter who's leading it, but if there's a certain policy or certain things which I don't personally agree with, I will speak out about it. I have done once, I think. But at the end of the day, we all need to be united and work together to get back into government.
Quite right.
And to address the gentleman's point over there,
About 14 years. Was that the one about having had 14 years, right?
Robert stood down from government with integrity, and if that's not integrity, I don't know. And people want accountability. If that's not accountability, what is? And also, just as a criminology student, I'm going to ask a similar question as I did at our patrons' meal. Should there be better rehabilitation programmes for those who are not serious offenders to ensure that our prison spaces are more free for those serious offenders?
OK, go on.
Yeah, look, I do want to see our prisons working better and to have proper rehabilitation. We all think that people should be given second chances, and our prisons aren't functioning right now. There's drugs, there's poor education, there's Islamist gangs, frankly, in some of them, controlling the wings. But I also think that career criminals should be in prison. You know, I do think it's very important that we get these people off our streets as a matter of punishment, but also about public protection. And at the moment, almost 60% of the crime in our country is being committed by just 9% of the criminals. So we've got to get those people off our streets. I don't subscribe to this view that so-called minor crime should never carry a prison sentence. There are crimes, theft, burglary, shoplifting, having your mobile phone nicked, which are almost decriminalised right now. We have to get those people, particularly the persistent offenders, off the streets into jail to keep you safe.
I'm going to get shouted after this. I'm just going to do one more, and it's got to be very quick, I'm afraid, very quick, because it ties into the topic we're going to be doing next. Today, we had, roughly speaking, 1,000 people cross the channel. The government is saying they've done some deal with the French where they slashed the boats in the water. That hasn't happened. How do you solve a problem like the French?
Well, the French, I've said for a long time that the French could stop this problem tomorrow if they wanted to. And just look at the Belgians. They do stop the boats on the beaches, and in fact they go into the water, in the shallow water, and they turn back the boats. The French could do the same. They're not doing it. We're currently wasting hundreds of millions of pounds that we're giving to the French, getting virtually nothing in return. But I don't think that you outsource your own border security to the kindness of strangers and our neighbours. At the end of the day, this is on us, and if we want to secure our borders, we need a proper deterrent. That means you arrive in the UK, you're immediately detained, and then you're removed, whether it's back home to your own country or to another country, or Rwanda or whatever. And to make that work, you've got to change our human rights laws. The merry-go-round of legal claims has got to come to an end once and for all, and I think that means leaving the European Convention on Human Rights.
Right, well,
The Tory MPs don't want that. You've got to get rid of them in the next election.
Okay.
There's lots of Liberal Democrats.
All right, you can't because you got the point there was, we're unfortunately out of time, but the point there was that I think some people in your party are a bit wet. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But right, well, we're going to be reacting to a lot of what Mr. Jumbrick has had to say there, as well as going back to Israel/Iran and zoning in on the fact that yet again today 1,000, mostly young men, did come to Britain. So we'll be reacting to all of that. I can see some people very pleased with what they've heard, maybe some people not so much. So we'll have the conversation. But thank you to Shadow Justice Minister Robert Jumbrick. All right, OK, yeah, like I said, loads more coming your way, but of course I couldn't let you get going into this break without the latest Great British giveaway, £54,321 in cold, hard, tax-free cash. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
We're kick-starting summer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Back in 2015, Thornton and Cleveley's resident Emma Shepherd noticed the grass in her garden wasn't growing. Within months, she had to put down Alfie, one of her beloved dogs, who had developed throat cancer. Just weeks later, she developed a lesion on her back, which would later be diagnosed as skin cancer. She knew then that something wasn't right.
I wasn't really aware of the history of the ICI site when I took the property. I did so much investigation. I had the ground tested with my own money. There was high levels of metals in there and some obviously cancerous carcinogenics in there. They actually nicknamed me Erin Brockovich because I was so all over it.
Last year, a joint investigation was launched by the Environment Agency and the local council. That was following the discovery of PFOA, a man-made chemical that potentially causes cancer. Both parties told GB News they are now working together on this matter, whilst the company under investigation for the potential release of the substance had this to say. AGC Chemicals Europe sets the highest standards for itself and takes its commitments to the local community and to the environment extremely seriously. They added that they voluntarily phased out the use of PFOA in the UK by early 2012. Release of the substance was within the permits held by AGC Chemicals Europe at the time, and also UK legislation in place at the time. And yet, 2 months ago, residents within a kilometre of the site received this letter from the council, advising them not to consume anything grown in their gardens due to potential PFOA contamination.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. So, look, this may sound a bit melodramatic, but I do mean it. Is France actually an ally of ours? Because we are being inundated with illegal migrants crossing the channel. Today alone, there was 1,000, 15,000 in total. I think that's actually 16,000 now after today's figures. Darren Jones, the Labour minister, said they're all mostly women and children. There we go. There are, to be fair, a few women and children in that picture that we're showing you there. But, of course, the overwhelming majority are blokes. And France is trying to shut out British firms now from the EU Defence Industrial Fund. So flooding us with illegal immigrants, not doing anything with the money, and then they're blocking us from entering this EU Defence Fund. So, what do we do about the French? I'm going to go to the audience at some point soon. But Bill, look, you know, what do you think about it? They've just flooded us another 1,000. Earlier on, you were saying, oh, they've tear-gassed the migrants. You've fallen for a bit of French propaganda there, haven't you? They tear-gassed a couple of them and they let the rest through.
Well, look, I'll declare an interest. I've got a degree in French. I've lived and worked in France. I like France, but they are a bugger to negotiate with collectively. But the deal that we have now got, and that is starting over the next few weeks to be implemented, of the French authorities intervening in shallow waters, of it again being an offence to transit through France, coming here to claim asylum, is a good one and can contribute to reducing the numbers. With regard to the Defence Fund, this is pure French chauvinism. It's inconsistent with the way the fund was set up. And you know, EU officials are actually briefing against France because of their actions, and I think it will be resolved and we will be able to access it. But look, we are interconnected with France. It's the biggest neighbour on our doorstep. We have to work with them, and you don't do that by shouting and...
Has anyone here got a solution about what we can do to stop the French flooding us with... Oh, no, sorry, I've heard from you. There is a lady there who, if we could get the microphone to her. I want to know what your solution is. We'll get that over to you soon. Go on, there we go. Hello, you all right? What's your solution to stop the French not stopping the boat?
Stop the lifeboats going out and collecting them, turn the boats round and send them back.
OK. So just send them back to France?
Just send them back.
And just make the French deal with it? Because the concern would be then that the French might decide to, well, I don't know, stop goods getting through the border for us. We'll cope.
We'll cope.
Right. OK, well, there you go, strong stuff. Miriam, what would your solution to this be?
Well, I feel someone has to stick up for the French. And like Bill, I very much like France, especially the food and the wine. But, I mean, from the French point of view, we are a bit like siblings, aren't we? We love to hate each other, we love to bicker, but in times of great crisis, we will pull together. But I think...
This is a crisis.
Yeah, but it's in their interests to let us have the illegal immigrants, isn't it? So if the roles were reversed, how hard would we be trying to stop the tent city in Calais migrating across the pond? We never see those people again.
But then we gave them access to our fishing waters for 12 years, and on top of that, they've decided to try and block us from the EU defence.
I am not... From the British point of view, the way the French are behaving is intensely annoying and very frustrating. But from the French point of view, they know who they are, they're protectionist, they have a sense of culture and a sense of their own country. You can't really blame them for that.
No, look, I think the French know, and especially Macron knows, that we've got a spineless lot of politicians now running this country. They will not stick up for this country against foreign interests. So, look, again, what Miriam said, they have machete wars in Dunkirk, guns being let off. Why would they want... We've had paedophiles, terrorists, gangsters and rapists come across on these boats. Terrorists, spies... Why would they want them in their country? The best thing for them to do is just turn a blind eye and let them come across.
I'm just going to whiz us on because we are going to go back to the Middle East now, I'm hearing. In fact, just moments ago, This was Tel Aviv, so they were... looks like they were trying to intercept some more missiles there. According to the Israeli military, Iran launched about 100 or so. Most of them fell short or were intercepted. US security services and forces did apparently help to shoot some of those out the sky. Tehran now, though, is apparently being bombed as we speak. So Israel has not waited to strike Iran back. And this is the really new bit for everyone. In the last few moments, the Israeli Defense Force has released this video showing the attacks on their capital. OK, so this is a compilation that Israel have released of Tel Aviv being attacked. So they are saying that Iran has crossed numerous different lines. We can take some sound on this now, I think. Let's listen to it. Well, I believe that I might be able to go to someone who is currently in Tel Aviv, or in Israel anyway. It's wildlife rescuer Lionel DeLonge, who is stranded in Israel. Right, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Tremendous to have you on the show. Firstly, whereabouts are you at the moment? Presumably you are safe at the minute.
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me on. I'm in Tel Aviv. I flew in on Wednesday to come and see the authorities about a wildlife rescue. And now I can't go home to another war zone, which is Ukraine.
Right. I mean, yes, I'm slightly concerned. I wouldn't necessarily want to follow you around, because it does seem as though trouble follows you. However, so what went on? Describe your experiences today of you being in Israel, please.
Okay, so it first started at 2 this morning. We got a missile alert incoming. We got up, went into the bomb shelter, and we heard a few explosions a little way off, nothing too serious, and then the rest of the day was quiet. City was very quiet, everything was shut down, no essential services were allowed to work, and then all our flights out of Tel Aviv, the airspace has been closed, and so have the neighboring countries, because I've tried to try and get out through Egypt or Jordan or one of them, but that's not possible. And then this evening, a couple of hours ago, an hour or so ago, the air raid warnings went off again, and they were shooting down ballistic missiles and drones right above us.
Right, OK. So was there any fear there, really, or did the Israelis seem to be just quite used to it?
No. Look, if anyone says they're not scared, then they clearly possibly drinking too much or on some sort of drug. If you ever say you're not scared in a war zone, then there's definitely something wrong with you. It's not something you'll ever get used to. I work in Ukraine on the front line every day, and I've been a soldier, and still every day we're concerned and we are worried about what happens. No, unfortunately, your life carries on. It has to, because, I mean, you have to live, but people are worried and they are concerned, and many of the homes do have what they call safe rooms. They're not bomb shelters underground like we have in Ukraine, but it is a safer room. If you're going to get hit with a ballistic missile, nothing much is going to stop it. You know?
What we're playing now is Tel Aviv, apparently, at the moment. So there's some kind of cleanup operation going on there, presumably after one of the bombs that did get through, or at least the shrapnel of it, got through. So what have you been told? We'll just have one more question with you, but what have you been told about this evening? I mean, have you been told just to try to stay in shelters, or are you expecting more attacks? What are you expecting?
Well, you know, I'm not from the area, so I'm learning as we go along. We'll get the air raid warning. We head into the shelters. You'll hear the air defense units working, and then sort of about 15 or 20 minutes after that stops, it's presumably safe to exit the shelter. Then we wait for the next warning. So nothing has happened for the last sort of 45 minutes or so, until the next warning comes in, and then we'll go to the shelter again.
All right. Well, look, thank you very, very much for joining us this evening, and I do hope you stay safe. It's Lionel DeLonge there, who is a wildlife rescuer who's been caught up and stranded in Israel with everything that's going on at the moment. I mean, I am looking at some live shots there, I think, from Tel Aviv, just in the studio here. I'm not sure if they're on the screen yet or not, but anyway, there we go. So I can see a bit more of a clearer picture here now. That appears to be the site of a bombed-out building. Just for what it's worth, Iran have now released a statement. Their ambassador to the United Nations saying that 78 people were killed in Iran after a ballistic missile or ballistic missiles struck them from Israel. So we're going to have to watch this space when it comes to the ongoing conflict there and see if there are any more developments. But after the break, we'll be crossing over to Northern Ireland because we are going to get the latest from our reporter, Doogie Beattie. I'm sure that every single person here will have seen what's been going on over there, civil unrest in various different places, anti-migration protests and other things going on as well. So Doogie Beattie, who's been doing stellar work for us there, is going to pop up and give us the latest. Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Temperatures are on the rise this week, particularly across parts of Spain and Portugal. It's likely we'll see heatwave conditions over the coming days. And with the hot temperatures comes plenty of sunshine, particularly across Spain, Portugal, though we can't rule out a few showers across southern parts of France, northern parts of Italy on Saturday. But otherwise, it's plenty of hot sunshine, particularly across Italy, where we'll start to see temperatures move into the mid-30s. And that sunshine is set to continue into next week, along with the hot weather.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We have seen the heat and humidity build during the last few days, and overnight that breaks down with the risk of torrential thunderstorms, large hail and gusty winds, as well as frequent lightning in places. Developments are already occurring across northern France, and they are drifting northwards across parts of the UK overnight. It's during the evening that the greatest risk of these torrential thunderstorms occurs through East Anglia as well as Kent. Always uncertainty with these kinds of situations in terms of exactly where the thunderstorms will track, but where they do hit, risk of severe impacts. And it's not just the southeast. Other parts of the UK are likely to see heavy rain overnight, rumbles of thunder, as well as some gusty winds. But by the start of Saturday, many of the heavy showers are moving northwards. A wet start for eastern and southeastern Scotland. Some heavy rain out there for Perth and Edinburgh first thing. Drier for the western coast of Scotland and the Western Isles, and also drier towards the west of Northern Ireland, but in the east, some heavy rain first thing. Showers developing from the word go through northern England, parts of Wales, as well as the south and southeast. We could see further showers at times during the morning, but the general idea through Saturday is for the wettest of the weather to drift north, and it's across northern England and southeast Scotland where there's the greatest risk during Saturday afternoon of further heavy showers, thunderstorms, as well as some gusty winds. But towards the southeast, drier by the end of the day with some sunshine. There's still some warmth, 26 or 27 Celsius. Elsewhere, the rain and showers overnight gradually peters out, so that Sunday starts off much quieter. We're going to see plenty of sunshine first thing. Further showers are likely to develop as the day goes on. Hit and miss scattered showers, not quite as lively as the next 24 hours. And then we've got higher pressure building in from the south for Monday, Tuesday, drier and warmer for most of us.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Cur weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
happy Friday, everybody. Now, we unfortunately don't seem to be able to get through to our Northern Ireland reporter, Dougie Beattie, so fingers crossed he's actually OK. However, it's an opportunity on what has been a very, very heavy show to do something a bit lighter. I have in my hand here the first look at the King's Honours list. It's just like... It's just landed. We're only allowed to report on this now. There's the embargo's gone, so let's have it. Right, I've got a few of the highlights, or lowlights for you, depending on it. So, former Cabinet Minister Penny Mordaunt becomes a dame. You made it, Penny Mordaunt?
I don't know her that well, but she did carry a sword, if I remember rightly.
Right, I'll take that as a no, then. So, then, anti-knife crime campaigners being honoured. They've vowed to continue the fight. There we are. Claudia Winkleman, services to fringes, I think. Is getting it. She's an MBE. She's incredibly grateful. That's nice, isn't it? David Beckham. Yeah, we all knew about that, didn't we? Immensely proud of his knighthood. The Who's Roger Daltrey is being knighted. Yeah, OK, fair enough. Medical staff who responded to the Southport knife attacks, they're being honoured by the King as well. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Slightly odd one here. Queen Camilla's GP. Seems a bit like jobs for the boys, that, doesn't it? Really? But anyway, let's have a look who else we've got here. Luke Littler's got an MBE. The darts guy. No darts fans in. Right, fine, whatever. Right, Christo, what do you make of this?
What else have we got? You know, this is longer than Rachel Reeves' CV. Look at how long it is. It's unbelievable. OK, I mean... Camilla's GP, he has probably given Camilla a full examination, and that is probably worthy of some sort of honour.
Stop there.
I like Camilla. I like her. I love Diana, but I like her. Elaine Page has been given a damehood. Now, I do like a musical.
Yeah.
So, yes, breaking news. Then get a strap on the screen. So I think that's a good one. I think these are quite nice names. David Beckham, Desperate Beckham. But Claudia Winkleman, I think these are nice names. I like the Traitors. I like these names. Are you not happy with these names?
I'm all right with the names. I'm just wondering, you know, when's it my turn? This is it. God, I mean, I'd probably knight myself. I was thinking, Bill, are you any controversies on there for you, or you're largely speaking all right with it?
No, and I mean, you know, Penny Mordaunt, I think, is fine. What I, however, disagree with is serving politicians getting knighthoods of any party.
Right.
I don't think that's right and proper. And David Beckham, and when we come on to Greatest Britons, I'll be mentioning him in. I think it's great that he's got an honour.
Right.
Should a serving politician drop their knighthood when they become Prime Minister, for instance?
Oh.
That's an interesting question.
Yes. Well, I'm just following through your points.
But he got it for public service before he was a member of Parliament.
Yes, I know, but I think maybe you should.
Well, talking of serving politicians who've received knighthoods, there's a gentleman here who would like to make a point about is it Sir Sadiq Khan?
Yes, albeit they should remain apolitical, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I quote, I think His Majesty the King said it took so long that he received some sort of knighthood, I believe, this week. If we all watched the news, I mean, I can't bother watching whatever he received. I mean, for me, I mean, you look at the past, was it 2016? He was on an honours list. Forgive me, I don't know the facts, figures, black or white, but what's improved? Knife crime, theft, TfL, you're evading fares. What's actually improved in the last X amount of years? You look around, nothing. So, I mean, for him to say such vulgarities...
Hang on a minute, I'm going to have to correct you there. We've now got gender-neutral traffic lights. Not enough to warrant a night as far as you're concerned.
I walk around them. But I mean, as a Londoner that's just moved here recently, I don't understand what's his role. What's he doing for us?
Fair enough. Go on.
I would refuse to call him sir. He doesn't deserve it. London, there is a rape reported every hour. There is a mobile phone stolen every 6 to 8 minutes. There is a knife crime every 30 minutes or so. He is fouled as mayor. None of the promises that he pledged beforehand, house building, to improve the traffic. He's made London a worse place. And what do we do in this country? we reward failure. It's a big boys' club, and he's going to go on, you know, and live his life as a knight or whatever they do.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace, personally.
I thought it was bad that he came out and revealed what the King said. It's Sadiq Khan's thing.
So arrogant.
Straight away, oh, the King apologised to me for not knighting me sooner. I mean, jog on, mate. Seriously. But, of course, he's not here to defend himself, and I need to say that. Miriam, your views on Sadiq Khan?
Well, I think that Bill's got a good point. Don't give them to serving politicians. I think that's very wise. I mean, I think Penny Mordaunt's a good choice because she was leader of the House when the Queen died and when the King came to the throne, and so that was a huge organisational task. So it's not really for her political role. I think she's been knighted. It is her role in helping the royal family, which I think is.
I think that's fun. She carried the massive sword. Right. OK. More on this New Year's honours list. Not New Year's honours list. King's honours list. When we do our newspaper review, 11 till 12 on Patrick Christys' Late Edition. Don't worry, everyone. You don't have to stay for the extra hour. Anyway, we are going to be doing Greatest Britain and Union Jackass when we come back, so don't you dare move.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Cass Review, which was last March, April, a very accomplished paediatrician, Baroness Cass, who effectively said, we've got to stop giving children who think they might be trans, rushing them into treatment, avoiding them having pills that can change their body. And now it seems the NHS is still treating nursery-age children. Nursery age. These are toddlers who believe they're transgender. Now, they're not giving them any drugs, but the mere idea, why are mum and dad even going along with it?
It's things like a boy that wants to wear dresses and play with dolls.
Let him.
It's things like a girl who wants to kick a football and maybe have her hair short. And the problem is, I think the parents are the ones behind this, obviously. You either say, this is normal, and children play around with gender roles as they have done since the beginning of time. You don't march them off to the doctor and get their heads looked at by a psychiatrist. And why are they doing it? Well, because they are reading that it's normal now, they're confused, they lack confidence as parents to say no.
Well, apparently, the health service had set a minimum age of 7 for children to be seen by specialist gender clinics. I think that's too young, frankly.
Unbelievable.
7, far too young. Claiming anything else less was just too young. But that limit's now been removed after the proposal was put up to consultation. And you know why? Because the wretched trans lobby have lobbied and put pressure on the NHS. So you've now got 3-year-olds being talked to about their gender. For God's sake, what are we doing to our children?
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Tomorrow, join GB News as we mark the King's official birthday. Trooping the Colour, hosted by Charlie Peters, Miriam Cates and me, Cameron Walker, live from Buckingham Palace. From 10 a.m. tomorrow on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
For many people, this is the highlight of the show. It's Greatest Britain Union Jackass time, so I need audience participation to decide the winner. Bill, who's your Greatest Britain, please?
Sir David Beckham. And I say that particularly because he's a self-made world-class footballer. You read his biography, and he used to go back in the afternoon after every training session and practice free kicks and corners.
Got paid millions of pounds.
But it shows dedication.
All right, go on, Chris. Who's your your greatest Britain?
Well, I am going to nominate the King for finding the time to knight Sadiq Khan. And actually, I think we can hear from Sadiq Khan and what he had to say.
Oh, right.
I've got the pleasure of working closely with the King. We were just comparing who's the bigger workaholic. He was very chuffed that he'd managed to personally give me this honour, and he actually apologised for it taking so long, which is not a problem at all.
So it was lovely the way that he managed to personally get. Excuse me.
Oh no!
Managed to actually personally,
right?
And he found the top.
Oh no! Are you all right?
I've got my Sadiq bucket.
Oh, it's gone everywhere. Oh, you're all right. We'll move on. Hopefully he's all right. Hopefully he's OK. You just gather yourself. It's disgusting, that. Miriam, who's your greatest Britain, please?
Oh, sorry to bring it back to seriousness. I'm going for my good friend Danny Kruger MP, who has led the resistance to the chem-lead-beta-assisted suicide bill and educated a lot of MPs about why it's so dangerous.
OK, fair enough. Well, there we go. Go on, Adam.
Mine is GBNews that is for today, and for the reason is for giving people like me a voice in the media and on television. I feel my voice is your voice, and therefore we get to all put our voices out there. So thank you, GBNews.
Well done. Well, thank you very much, Adam. And can I just say it's an absolutely magnificent addition to what Adam Bolton might call the delicate broadcast media ecology. So thank you so much. Right, it's time to vote. Who thinks David Beckham? OK. Who thinks the King for the bucket, the sink bucket? People are going, I thought we'd get a better response than that. I shudder to think how quiet it's going to be for Danny Kruger's opposition to the assisted dying bill. A bit around. And GBNews.
They wouldn't let me because Adam got
it's
there.
Male privilege, Miriam. It's male privilege. This is.
And I hope the bosses are watching.
Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, but just in my defence here, I don't know who they choose, right? So I don't load the dice. Right, we've got less than a minute. Just say the name very quickly of the thing.
Collective jackass, the chief executives of car parks who are fleecing customers dry.
Oh, expensive car parks. I hate them. Also, nurses shouldn't have to pay for parking. Anyway, go on. Who's your union jackass?
Rachel Reeves, say no more.
Yeah, OK. Go on, Miriam.
All the MPs who voted to allow doctors to raise the idea of suicide with patients unprompted.
OK.
Very suicide-orientated tonight, aren't you?
The same kind,
And mine is Keir Starmer for blatantly lying that the VAT on school fees was going to go to state schools and teachers, and then tweeted that it's going to go to housing. And we know who's going to go in the housing, don't we?
Right, wow, quite. OK.
Told yours well.
So, we haven't got time to decide, but you can just shout the name of the panellists you want to win the Union Jackass thing with me. So, come on. Adam has won it again. There we go. All right, I'll do. All right, well done, everybody. OK, I would just like to say an absolutely massive thank you to everyone. Sorry it's not been the most kind of light-eyed show, world events, global news. We are going to go very shortly, though, to Doogie Beattie, who's in Northern Ireland with us, because apparently there is another night of disorder. That is Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition for all of your front pages. Stay tuned.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We have seen the heat and humidity build during the last few days, and overnight that breaks down with the risk of torrential thunderstorms, large hail and gusty winds, as well as frequent lightning in places. Developments are already occurring across northern France, and they are drifting northwards across parts of the UK overnight. It's during the evening that the greatest risk of these torrential thunderstorms occurs through East Anglia as well as Kent. Always uncertainty with these kinds of situations in terms of exactly where the thunderstorms will track, but where they do hit, risk of severe impacts. And it's not just the southeast. Other parts of the UK are likely to see heavy rain overnight, rumbles of thunder, as well as some gusty winds, but by the start of Saturday, many of the heavy showers are moving northwards. A wet start for eastern and southeastern Scotland. Some heavy rain out there for Perth and Edinburgh first thing. Drier for the western coast of Scotland and the Western Isles, and also drier towards the west of Northern Ireland, but in the east, some heavy rain first thing. Showers developing from the word go through northern England, parts of Wales, as well as the south and southeast. We could see further showers at times during the morning, but the general idea through Saturday is for the wettest of the weather to drift north, and it's across northern England and southeast Scotland where there's the greatest risk during Saturday afternoon of further heavy showers, thunderstorms, as well as some gusty winds. But towards the southeast, drier by the end of the day with some sunshine. There's still some warmth, 26 or 27 Celsius. Elsewhere, the rain and showers overnight gradually peters out, so that Sunday starts off much quieter. We're going to see plenty of sunshine first thing. Further showers are likely to develop as the day goes on. Hit and miss scattered showers, not quite as lively as the next 24 hours. And then we've got higher pressure building in from the south for Monday, Tuesday, drier and warmer for most of us.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Cur weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good evening, I'm Patrick Christys, and this is Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition, breaking right now. The Middle East is on the brink after Israel launched this attack on Iran.
ساعت الان 3:37 دقیقه ورودی فرحزاده پایین یه ساختمان مسکونی زده شده.
Then Iran pledged their revenge.
The Zionist regime made a grave mistake. It acted wrongly, and by God's will, the consequences will bring it to ruin.
I have got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages with me here, and there is some remarkable detail about what's going on, because Iran did hit Israel, and this is what happened. The Mail all-out war. The Express, Trump warns Iran of even more brutal attacks. The Eye, this is war. Well, like I said, we're going to be covering all of that. But closer to home, a damning review into the Pakistani rape gangs is set to link illegal migration with the exploitation of British girls. And that comes on the same day as 7 men were found guilty of grooming offences in Rochdale. The question is, will they deport them? And the New Year's Honours list, something that's a bit more light-hearted, it must be said. David Beckham, Luke Littler, Penny Mordaunt, they're all getting a gong in the King's birthday honours, which have just been announced. Well, we're going to be doing that and all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and we're going to be live shortly with Doogie Beattie in Northern Ireland. He is somewhere for us where apparently there's been police dogs going after civilians, etc. He's got all the footage for us, so you're not going to